What if one of the missing keys to understanding the end times was written thousands of years before the Book of Revelation? A text so controversial that over time it slowly disappeared from most Bibles, and yet the earliest Christians knew it. They read it, they discussed it. Some of the apostles even quoted it. Hidden inside that ancient text are the descriptions of fallen angels, giants, forbidden knowledge, and a final judgment that sounds disturbingly similar to the world we live in today. This is the mystery of the Book of Enoch. And today more people than ever are beginning to ask a strange question. Why was this book preserved for centuries in one isolated part of the world, while disappearing almost everywhere else? Why did an entire ancient Christian tradition protect it, while other traditions slowly pushed it aside? It may be the most unsettling question of all. What did Enoch see that made his writing so dangerous? To understand the mystery, we have to go back to one of the shortest and most mysterious passages in the Bible. Long before the New Testament was written, long before the prophets of Israel recorded their visions, there was a man whose life is summarized in only a few lines. His name was Enoch. In the book of Genesis we read something extraordinary. It does not say Enoch died like other men. Instead the text says something unusual. It says that Enoch walked with God, and then he was taken. He was no more, because God took him. Just a few short sentences, but those sentences raised questions that ancient readers could not ignore. What does it mean to walk with God? What did Enoch experience that made his life so different from everyone else? And where exactly did he go? Outside the traditional Bible, ancient writings attempt to answer those questions. According to the Book of Enoch, this mysterious man did not simply live a righteous life. He was taken on a journey beyond the visible world. The book describes Enoch being shown visions of heaven, visions of angels, visions of the hidden structure of the cosmos, even visions of the future of humanity. For centuries these writings circulated among Jewish communities. They were copied, studied, debated. Fragments of these texts were even discovered among the famous Dead Sea Scrolls, confirming that ancient groups preserved them long before the time of Christianity. In the early church, many believers were familiar with these writings. In fact, one passage from the Book of Enoch appears to be quoted directly in the New Testament letter of Jude. For early readers, the book seemed to offer something remarkable. It filled in the gaps of ancient biblical history. Each attempted to explain mysterious passages that otherwise remained unexplained, and perhaps most importantly, each described the origin of one of the strangest events in the Bible, the appearance of giants. According to the Book of Enoch, the story begins with a group of angels known as the Watchers. These beings were assigned to observe humanity. They were meant to watch, to guide, to serve God's purposes. But something went terribly wrong. The story says that these angels began to look at humanity in a different way. They saw human women, and they desired them. Led by a powerful figure named Samyaza, 200 of these watchers made a dangerous decision. They descended to earth, and they made a pact with one another, a binding oath that they would all share the responsibility for what they were about to do. They took human wives, and from these unions something unnatural was born, the Nephilim. Gigantic beings described in ancient writings as powerful, violent, and destructive. The Book of Enoch says the giants grew so large and so corrupt that they began to consume everything around them. First the resources of the earth, then the animals, and eventually, even humans. Violence spread across the world. Corruption multiplied. According to the story, this period of chaos became one of the reasons judgment came upon the ancient world. But the most disturbing part of the narrative comes later. When the giants were destroyed, their bodies died, but their spirits remained. The Book of Enoch claims that the spirits of the Nephilim became wandering entities, disembodied, restless, searching for influence among humanity. The text describes them as spirits that hold the earth, bringing temptation, corruption, and deception. Men readers throughout history believed this passage offered a possible explanation for something mysterious, the origin of demons. According to this interpretation, demons are not fallen angels themselves. Instead, they are the restless spirits of the giants, spirits trapped between worlds, unable to return to heaven, yet unable to fully exist among the living. For men readers, this idea filled a strange gap in biblical understanding. Each offered an explanation for spiritual forces described later in Scripture. Each raised the chilling possibility that the spiritual battle described in the Bible may have started far earlier than most people imagine. But the Watchers did not only change humanity through their actions. According to the Book of Enoch, they also changed the course of human civilization itself, because these fallen angels brought knowledge with them. Knowledge that humans were never meant to possess so early in their history. The book lists several forms of forbidden knowledge that the Watchers revealed. They taught humans how to forge advanced weapons. They revealed secret sciences. They taught astrology, enchantments, and hidden arts. They revealed methods for manipulating the natural world. Ancient writers believed that this sudden expansion of knowledge accelerated the corruption of humanity. Civilization advanced rapidly. Technology improved, but morality collapsed. This theme appears repeatedly throughout the Book of Enoch. Knowledge without wisdom, power without righteousness, progress without spiritual responsibility. When modern readers encounter this idea, men feel an uncomfortable sense of familiarity. Today we live in a world with extraordinary technology. Human knowledge expands faster than any other time in history. Information travels across the planet in seconds. Machines perform tasks that once seemed impossible, yet at the same time people believe moral confusion is increasing. Truth becomes harder to define. Values shift rapidly. A society struggles to balance technological power with ethical responsibility. The Book of Enoch describes a generation where knowledge multiplies, but righteousness declines. A generation where the world appears advanced, yet spiritually unstable. Whether one interprets this symbolically or literally, men readers believe that description feels surprisingly close to the world we see today. But the Book of Enoch does not only describe the past, it also attempts to describe the future. One of the most fascinating sections of the text contains a prophecy known as the Prophecy of the 10 Weeks. In this vision, Enoch describes human history divided into 10 symbolic periods. Each week represents a major stage in the story of humanity. The first week represents the earliest generations of humanity, the time when righteousness is to existed in the world. The second week describes the rise of corruption and violence. The third week represents the time of judgment through the Great Flood. Later weeks describe the rise of Israel, the giving of the law, and the appearance of righteous leaders. Eventually the prophecy reaches the final periods of history. The last weeks describe a world filled with deception. A world where injustice spreads, a time when powerful forces oppose righteousness. According to the prophecy, these events occur shortly before a final intervention from God, a moment when corruption is confronted and justice is restored. Throughout history, different readers have interpreted this prophecy in different ways. Some see it as symbolic, others believe it describes real phases of history, but one thing remains consistent: the prophecy ends with a warning. The final generation will face a choice: truth or deception, righteousness or corruption, faithfulness or rebellion. And that message may explain why the story of Enoch continues to capture attention even thousands of years later. Because the story does not only describe ancient history, it speaks directly to the human condition. But there is still another mystery surrounding the Book of Enoch. If this text was once so widely known, why did it disappear from most Bibles? The answer is complex. Ancient religious communities debated men's writings. Some texts were accepted as scripture, others were respected but not included in the final canon. Over time, the Book of Enoch gradually fell out of common use in many regions, but in one place, it survived. For centuries, the Christian Church in Ethiopia preserved the entire text, while other traditions debated it or ignored it. Ethiopian believers continued copying it, reading each, in passing each though through generations. Because of that tradition, the full Book of Enoch survived into the modern world. Without that preservation, large portions of the text might have disappeared forever. Today historians, theologians, and curious readers continue to study the book. Some approach it as an ancient religious text, others view it as an important piece of historical literature, and some believe its warnings carry spiritual meaning for our time. But in the end, the most important message of Enoch may not be about giants, or fallen angels, or hidden knowledge. Those elements may capture our curiosity, but the heart of the story is far simpler. The Bible describes Enoch with one powerful sentence: he walked with God. In a generation filled with corruption, Enoch chose a different path. He lived differently, he believed differently, he walked in faith when the world around him moved in another direction. According to the ancient writings, that is the real lesson his story was meant to leave behind, because every generation eventually faces the same choice: darkness or truth, corruption or righteousness, sleep or awareness. The story of Enoch reminds us that even in times of confusion, individuals still have the ability to walk a different path. Maybe that is why the mystery of Enoch refuses to disappear, because his message was never only about ancient visions or forgotten history. It was about preparing the future. If you believe God is to open the eyes of those who seek the truth, comment below. Open my eyes.